Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online regulation VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be featuring a really interesting high-rank FEZANDIPITI team. This team finished in the top 30 of the September ranked season at the end of the season, and FEZANDIPITI is a Pokemon that has a lot of potential but doesn't see very much play in the format currently. This set in particular is a Citrus Berry set with Icy Wind, Dazzling Gleam, Sludge Bomb, and Protect, and the idea is that it can disrupt, get a lot of those poisons while also getting good speed control via Icy Wind. The team also has a really interesting Water Ogerpon set that's max HP, max defense with Swords Dance and Follow Me, so you can use it offensively as well as defensively, and a very strong offensive core of Pokemon like Flutter, Chi-Yu, Landorus, and Dragonite. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, would really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel, really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. Breaking things down, as always, rental, pace, and team creator are linked down in the description below, and question of the day, I want to know how you would run FEZANDIPITI in the VGC format down in the comment section below. I think this Pokemon is pretty underexplored at the moment, so curious if you've tried any sets that you think are really good or run into any sets that you think have been very strong. Now, I was drawn to this team immediately because of FEZANDIPITI, because I think this Pokemon is pretty mid-tier out of all the new mons from the DLC, but one, has potential, and two, I think a lot of players just don't have experience fighting against it. So let's talk about the role of FEZANDIPITI on this team specifically. You use this because Toxic Chain is just an amazing ability, right? It gives you a 30% chance of badly poisoning your opponents, and you're running multiple spread moves in Dazzling Gleam and Icy Wind. So basically every time you attack with FEZANDIPITI, you have a decent shot of just poisoning your opponent. I think this can be particularly valuable against teams that are a little bit bulkier and maybe can't pick up quick knockouts because the poison really stacks and just adds up over a long period of time. So this FEZANDIPITI is just quite bulky. It stays on the field for a long time. Great natural special defense, for example. And the idea is that with Citrus Berry, you sustain for even longer. You have really good chances of poisoning when you stay on the field and just keep clicking Icy Wind and Dazzling Gleam. And Sludge Bomb is just a powerful attack that, of course, can also poison. So I actually often like leading the FEZANDIPITI to angle for some speed control for the rest of the team. You have Pokemon that are all like decently fast on this team with Chi-Yu, Landorus, Therian, and Ogerpon. But the idea is that like you are going to go up against a lot of Pokemon that are faster than these, like your Champals, for example, like your opposing Flutter mains. So having Icy Wind speed control from FEZANDIPITI is really nice. And Ghost Terra exists here because it helps you get around things like Fake Out in the beginning of the battle, for example. And it's just not a bad defensive Terra. So I actually like leading FEZANDIPITI and Ogerpon a lot. This Ogerpon set is really unique where you've got Swords Dance and Follow Me, and this EV spread is wild, right? It's max HP, max defense, so you're taking defensive attacks a lot better than your opponents generally will anticipate. And the idea is that you can set up a Swords Dance and then heal back a lot with Horn Leech. So one of the setups I like going with is actually just FEZANDIPITI plus Ogerpon. You start spreading Icy Winds, Ogerpon starts Swords Dancing, and then you start healing back with Horn Leech as well. Follow Me is really interesting because it means that the Ogerpon is also a defensive option, and so it means that you can lead Ogerpon with something like Chi-Yu, right? And just go for something like Follow Me into an Overheat, redirect attacks that threaten Chi-Yu, for example, and the Ogerpon with the amount of HP and defense is really valuable. This also invalidates something like Water Urshifu, which can give the team a lot of trouble, right? If you look at Landorus, Chi-Yu, Flutter Mane, FEZANDIPITI, like none of those really want to take Surging Strikes in rain against an Urshifu, so this doubles down as a defensive option against opposing Urshifus. You've got the Flutter plus Chi-Yu combination here. This is pretty standard, been quite popular throughout multiple formats. The main thing to note about Flutter Mane is it's the speed booster set with Icy Wind. A ton of bulk, by the way, with 148 HP, 244 defense CVs, but with even basically no speed investment here in Timid Nature, the booster energy allows you to outspeed practically everything other than really fast Choice Scarf Pokemon, as well as opposing booster Flutters, for example, or just booster Pokemon with plus speed in general. So Flutter and Chi-Yu is a really good lead because you just pressure with an immediate Icy Wind plus something like Heat Wave plus Overheat. Ghost Terra here is also valuable because it means you can lead Flutter, Chi-Yu and just become immune to Fake Out for one turn in the lead, which is really nice. And the final Pokemon on the team are Landorus, Therian. This is just a safety goggle set, so it's super good, super anti-Amoonguss in particular. And then Dragonite, which is a Choice Band normal Terra set. Fairly standard moveset here, but of course you're mainly using this for the extreme speed combination. So in terms of ways to play with the team, like I think the first thing I ask myself is, do I actually get value out of FEZANDIPITI? What are the Pokemon that threaten it? Can I stay on the field for a long time? And is it important to either get speed control via Icy Wind from this or fish for poisons. Now, you have 2 Icy Wind users, right? So if you're looking for speed control, you don't necessarily have to commit to Fezandipiti. You can use Fluttermane. The reason to use Fezandipiti as an Icy Wind user is because it's just bulky and you have the chance of spreading poison when you use it, whereas the reason to use Fluttermane as an Icy Wind user is because you have the booster energy. So most of the time when you click Icy Wind, the Fluttermane will move first, dropping your opponent's speed immediately. With Fezandipiti, it's more likely that you'll be moving after your opponent's fast Pokemon in the first turn, and then maybe in subsequent turns, Fezandipiti can outspeed. So different reasons to use these Icy Wind speed users, but for Fezandipiti, like I mentioned, I asked myself, do they have any bulky Pokemon that I would love to get a poison on? Something that stays on the field, can't deal that much damage, and a poison will slowly just put them in a tough position. Getting Toxic Chain to activate is also nice because often your opponents will feel compelled to switch out those Pokemon, which you can leverage to your advantage as well. So if I do think Fezandipiti can fit into the matchup, I often consider leading it. I personally love Fezandipiti Ogerpon, for example, where I can just go for Icy Wind into a Swords Dance immediately. I think you can easily lead it with Chi-Yu or Landorus as well. Go for something like a Protect with one of these into an Icy Wind, fish for a poison, break through sashes, drop speeds, and then attack with Chi-Yu or Landorus in subsequent turns. If you want to just go more offensive with this team, like Flutter Chi-Yu works, Flutter Landorus works, Icy Wind into just Terra Blast, for example. Flutter Dragonite works as well. The upside of this duo is that you can go normal Terra, E-Speed, and Moonblast immediately from Flutter to just deal good damage. But know that the Flutter here is timid, it's not modest, you don't have Life Orb, you don't have Pixie Plate, you don't have Choice Specs, Booster Energy, so you're not really going to do that much damage with this. It's more used for utility. But that being said, Moonblast Gleam, still really good against Pokemon or weak to Fairy type attacks like Chien-Pao, for example. So yeah, I think Fezandipiti is not an easy Pokemon to use, and it just doesn't do that much damage. Your base 70 special attack at the end of the day, so you're not picking up big knockouts, but the utility of this is that it stays on the field often for 4 or 5 turns, and every time you click that Gleam or Icy Wind, you give yourself a good chance to poison your opponent, which is awesome. And finally, I think you can lead Ogerpon with things like Chi-Yu, Landorus, especially against Water Urshifu, for example, because you have that surprise Follow Me. And if your opponent does lead Urshifu, you can consider either going for Follow Me and getting a big attack off with Landorus or Chi-Yu, or just going for a Swords Dance, for example. So yeah, that's it for a quick breakdown. Now let's highlight some weaknesses. So I think for weaknesses, for me, this Ogerpon is not the most intuitive to use because you don't have Spiky Shield. So I think that if your opponent is smart, they can really aggressively target Ogerpon down before it gets too much value. So for example, I've had situations where I lead Ogerpon, I'm like, okay, I'm going to Swords Dance turn 1, and then I get the Swords Dance off, but then they just double up on Ogerpon, and I take 80% of my health, and the next turn I can't protect, and go for defensive pivoting or go for an Icy Wind, so then they just knock me out in the subsequent turn. So when you click Swords Dance, you have to be really careful with this Pokemon, because if your opponent just plays aggressively against it in the early game, you might not even get an attack off afterwards, right? So that's something that's scary. I think committing to Laterra here can also be scary. I've had games where I do it, but then I suddenly just become weak to, say, electric type attacks or grass type attacks, and that opens the door for Pokemon like opposing Ogerpon or Iron Hands to put on a lot of pressure against this set in particular. For Fezandipiti, I think going up against Pokemon that resist its attacks, like Steel-type Pokemon, Poison-type Pokemon, and Steel and Poison Terras in particular can be really annoying because you just have a lot less value from Toxic Chain. And I think Fezandipiti is also one of those things that sometimes can just stay on the field, and it's a little bit awkward because it's I'm not really doing much damage. The Poison isn't really going to help me out, so I feel compelled to make a switch, but it's hard to defensively switch into some of the Pokemon in the back, right? Flutter and Chi-Yu aren't exactly the best switch-ins for this team. You'd rather switch into something like Ogerpon or Landorus most of the time. Maybe Dragonite because it's decently bulky here, but yeah, I think Fezandipiti can look really good in certain matchups, and other times it just stays on the field and does very little. And yeah, if you are up against those pesky Steel types or Poison types or Terras, that can be pretty problematic for this Pokemon. For Fluttermane, I think it is not very offensive, so one of the downsides I've had is when I lead Fluttermane and my opponent just goes with something that threatens it for a knockout, something like Heavy Slam Iron Hands, for example. That can be really scary because then I feel compelled to protect Flutter or maybe even just switch it out, and then that gets rid of the booster energy, which is one of the main reasons you really want to use this set. So thinking about how you can take advantage of booster energy is really important, and if you're going up against it, yeah, leading something that just threatens this immediately, if they lead Fluttermane, can make it really awkward. And then I think with Landorus, for example, if you don't Terra this, then Stomping is a decent attack, but obviously against flying types, if you don't Terra, the late game for Landorus can be really awkward. So yeah, those are just a couple of things to note. I think in a lot of the games I've lost, I don't really maintain my speed control super well, and I just kind of get outsped and overwhelmed, and a lot of it starts with the leads as well. I think if you mislead and bring Fezandipiti and it's a little bit passive, it can already set you behind a good amount. So those are just some things to consider. Alright, we've got Rillaboom, Chien-Pao, Ogerpon, Dragonite, Milotic, and Fluttermane. Honestly, I think it could be a pretty interesting one for FEZANDIPITI here. The main thing I think we need to be a little bit careful about is clicking Icy Wind, because it could activate competitive on my Lodic, which wouldn't be great. Ogerpon here is interesting. With Swords Dance and Follow Me support. If I were them, I would bring my Lodic. So I actually think Ogerpon's pretty important in dealing with it. But would I lead my Lodic, I guess, is the question. Because I still kind of want to bring Landorus. Banded Dragonite here is also pretty intriguing, I think. Normal Terra E-Speed's not bad. I like leading FEZANDIPITI. I might honestly go with FEZANDIPITI plus Ogerpon. And in the back, what do I want to bring? Chiyu's interesting thanks to Sash. I think Flutter's less valuable here because it's the speed booster set with Icy Wind. It's valuable for speed control. But I think I like Landorus to deal with their Ogerpon and then Dragonite. I think you make a good argument for Chiyu as well. But the reason I didn't want to bring Chiyu here, I think is mainly just, can I actually get a big knockout with it? We're pretty frail, so we'll likely go down. And can I get a positive trade with it, basically? I'm not 100% confident in it. Whereas, like, Dragonite, I can just go for normal Terra E-Speed and potentially knock something out before they get the chance to hit us. But we'll see. I think the Ogerpon plus FEZANDIPITI combo is pretty interesting, as they're going to go with my Lodic and the Ogerpon. Okay, that makes sense. Yep, so there's Mold Breaker. I mean, I could just Sludge Bomb this, which kind of forces a Terra. Like, I wonder if they Spiky Shield on turn 1. What I don't want to do is attack into it and have it just, have it Spiky Shield, and then my Lodic gets a free attack off. I don't know what my Lodic would really go for here, though, honestly. And the interesting decision here right now is who do you Terra, because both of your Pokemon are threatened. Like, I personally am thinking Sludge Bombing here and Horn Leeching. Okay, Ogerpon switches. That's fine. Into Rillaboom. Yeah, I mean, FEZANDIPITI loves that, right? Cool. Would make me very happy to see a Milotic Protect here, or a Terra. Cool, they're going to commit the Terra. So with the Terra committed already, that means that they can't Terra their Ogerpon, which is a big deal. Let's see what Terra you're going to turn into here. Dragon Terra, which has been popping up in usage. Which is okay. I have Dazzling Gleam, so I can hit you with super effective with the FEZANDIPITI. There's Ivy Cudgel. And Sludge Bomb. I assume they'll survive this with the Salt Vest. Yep. As they'll go for Icy Wind. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I honestly think let the FEZANDIPITI is actually in really good shape right now. I think Ogerpon is in kind of an awkward position, but that's okay. Right now, I'm happy to just click Dazzling Gleam. Give ourselves chances of poison. We don't want to bring Landorus out until we knock out my Lodic. So here, I could stay in and actually go for something like a Swords Dance, which is actually pretty interesting. Or I could just pivot out into Dragonite right now, which also works. But I actually think Swords Dance is cool here. Like, I'm okay going for Dazzling Gleam here and Swords Dance. Yep. So they click Fake Out on a FEZANDIPITI. That's fine. And just Scald here as well. Yeah, FEZANDIPITI is just a tank. Sweet. So we get Swords Dance off. The main thing is, like, my Lodic just does not apply that much offensive pressure, right? So I can leverage that to my advantage. Rillaboom here, of course, can go for something like a Wood Hammer, which is scary. I'm happy to go for Dazzling Gleam here. And Horn Leech. Dazzling Gleam, Horn Leech. I think it's fine. I mean, I guess they could click like Stomping Tantrum into this. Yeah, that's a possibility. We're at +2 attack right now. Dazzle. I mean, Rillaboom's honestly not that much of an issue. I'm thinking Hornleech Milotic here, actually, yeah. Okay, it is going to be high horsepower, but Fezandipiti survives. Beautiful. Cool. Citrus Berry is really clutch there. I think we should survive a Scald as well after this. And they actually just offer Icy Wind instead. Yep, that's fine. Like, the good thing right now is that my opponent has just taken a lot of, or spent a lot of resources to get to this point, right? So we get Hornleech, boosted by Grassy Terrain. I went for Hornleech there, trying to get more recovery in case they went for, like, a Woodhammer, for example, onto the Ogerpon slot. But now we get a super effective Dazzling Gleam as well. It's really solid damage onto Milotic. And it's going to activate a Citrus Berry on there, and it looks like. Okay. No poisons, unfortunately, though. Which has been a bummer, but that's fine. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I can just start extreme speeding everything. And honestly, here I'm down to go for a Dazzling Gleam and a Follow Me. I think, like, given that you see Sword Stance, you probably don't expect Follow Me, so they think it's just safe to high horsepower into the Fezandipiti slot again. But yeah, we're getting to a game state where I can just go normal Terra E-Speed and just pick things off one by one. And the +2 Ogerpon is also still putting on a lot of offensive pressure, but Milo's actually going to switch out here. Okay. This now means that I have the position to bring in Landorus safely, right? Okay, Mold Breaker activates again. That's fine. Ogerpon's going to go for Follow Me this time around. Let's see if they went for high horsepower again. Nope. They do go for Woodhammer. Nicely done. Does a hefty amount to us there. We'll get a Dazzling Gleam off against Bolt. Ogerpon resists. Toxic Chain does activate finally, and it's going to activate on the Rillaboom. Cool. Nice! Double Toxic Chain. There we go. That's one of the things about this Fezandipiti, right? It's just really bulky, so it's like every time you click Dazzling Gleam, Icy Wind, you give yourself a pretty good chance of getting a poison. So everyone's going to heal back a little bit right now. There's poison activating. So like I said, this still feels like a endgame probably for the Dragonite. There's only one turn of terrain left as well, which is great. I mainly want to respect Ogerpon going for a Swords Dance, I think. If I switch out into Landorus right now... So the one risk in switching out into Landorus right now is because my speed is lowered, you could like pivot Rillaboom out into Milotic, which would activate competitive. So I actually have to be a little bit careful about that, I think. Maybe I don't want to switch then. Nah, I'm still going to go for it. And I'm going to Ivy Cudgel into Ogerpon. Okay, so they're staying in. That's good. Part of the reason I really wanted to bring Landorus was specifically for Ogerpon. So, I don't know. Maybe it could have been okay to just go for like a Protect with my Ogerpon, sacrifice Fezandipiti. But I honestly think conserving Fezandipiti isn't a bad idea either. Okay, they're just going to go for Ivy Cudgel here onto the Landorus slot. Nice. And Woodhammer here, but I have the Intimidate now. And so I survive. Beautiful. So Rillaboom is going to faint now. And we get our +2 Ivy Cudgel into their Ogerpon. And that's just a KO. Beautiful. So we're up 4-2 now, and I still have my Terra as well. And Fezandipiti's role is really just being a pretty bulky Pokemon that can be pretty disruptive as well. This game was interesting because I was less inclined to click Icy Wind because they had the Milotic, so I want to be careful about it. But they're going to bring out Champao and Milotic. Okay, cool. I'm still worried about Recover from the Milotic. But late game Dragonite with normal Terra E-Speed should be able to clean this up decently well. I can also just Follow Me here. You could Icy Wind with this. Yeah, we're still not out of it quite yet. I could follow me here. I want to follow me Terra Blast personally. But I'm worried that Milotic protects here from the Terra Blast. Okay, I'm actually going to protect Ivy Cudgel here to get the free switch into Dragonite. I think I'm fine with that outcome. Okay, Chien-Pao protects, that's fine. Yeah, like the main thing this turn is just baiting out a protect from one of the two slots. Milo could recover, I guess, but I think with the Dragonite Fezandipiti endgame, it'd still be okay. And yeah, they go for Icy Wind here, so that's fine. Okay. Doesn't get the knockout there. Okay, so given that, then I think I can go for Follow Me. Yeah. What I'm going to do here is Follow Me and U-turn. Follow Me, U-turn. This is super effective. It brings out Fezandipiti, then I bring out Dragonite. And then I just normal Terra E-Speed. Dazzling Gleam. And they actually miss Icicle Crash, unfortunately, as well. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't change too much, I think. If you had hit that, then the Icy Wind that Milotic is going for just becomes single target. But, yeah, now I can just bring out the Fezandipiti. Icy Wind hopefully does connect on Ogerpon. Actually, would be awkward if it missed, but Dragonite now should seal this up for us. And, yep, there's Icy Wind from Milo. Cool. 66 down to 49. Okay, perfect. So Ogerpon faints, but now I get the free switch into my Dragonite, which is what we're looking for. I wonder if normal Terra E-Speed just KOs the Milotic. But basically, like, Milotic isn't a huge offensive threat to this slot, so I'm happy personally to just go for a Dazzling Gleam, normal Terra, and then just Extreme Speed to KO Chien-Pao. One other thing to consider is that I do have the Landorus in the back, and if I bring it out, it activates competitive on the Milotic, but I don't mind that if I can just knock it out before it gets the move. We already got rid of its Citrus Berry, so you don't get a huge burst of recovery anymore. I think my opponent's best play here would probably be to protect the Chien-Pao, and then like go for a Scald or an Icy Wind, but even then, Extreme Speed just KOs your Chien-Pao next turn. That's why it was really critical to get that U-turn off into that slot to chip away at it so that the Dragonite could finish it off through Focus Sash. So kind of a long drawn out game here. We held on to our Terra for multiple turns, but it's finally time to click the Terra. And basically the one thing I don't want to do right now is like target Milotic, have Milotic protect, and then Chien-Pao Sacred Sword crits Dragonite for a KO. That would be a disaster. Cool. They don't protect the Chien-Pao, so that should just be game over because I don't think Milotic can play a 3v1 here. But Chien-Pao's going to end up fainting. Okay. And they opt for Scald here onto the Dragonite slot, which is perfectly fine. Even if you burn at this point, I get a single target Dazzling Gleam into the Milotic slot. Not going to do that much damage, but Toxic Chain activates for the third time in this battle. And we are going to get the poison onto Milotic as well. Amazing. Fezandipiti was actually really nice as a kind of anti-Milotic counter here, just because like Milo doesn't do that much damage to us, and we just do a lot in return, right? So... or sorry, I guess we don't do like that much in return, but it's more about like being able to spread poisons over a consecutive period of time. And Extreme Speed here just finishes off Milotic. But the idea is that like, let's say I lost my offensive members early, like Fezandipiti at least could spread poison so that Milotic can't just like, if it has recover, stay on the field for forever. They're kind of on a timer. So yeah, that's what makes this Pokemon really interesting. You're not often going to get big knockouts, but the lead was actually really good for us because Fezandipiti threatened Ogerpon with Sludge Bomb, and our Ogerpon threatened Milotic. So it essentially meant that they were kind of forced to go for a defensive play immediately, and baiting out that Terra early made things a lot easier for us. Yeah, I'm really happy about the decision to bring Dragonite here, and that's kind of why I wanted to have it over the Chi-Yu, because if I had Chi-Yu, it would have been outsped by the Chien-Pao, which would have been pretty awkward, but with Dragonite, as soon as we get that chip damage onto the Chien-Pao slot, we can just Extreme Speed and finish off everything. Okay, this is just the team that won the 2023 War Championships in the Masters Division. Shohei Kimura used this team and it has a lot of techs like Energy Ball, Flutter Mane with Grass Terra, Safety Goggles Urshifu with Taunt, classic Iron Hands. I think it was what? Taunt Citrus Landorus? Or wait, was it Goggles Landorus with the Taunt being on Urshifu? I think that was what it was, right? So FEZANDIPITI is really solid here, I think, because we can just disrupt a lot with this. Amoonguss is going to be an issue for us. I like Ogerpon a lot as well, but I wonder if I want to be leading it. I think Icy Wind Flutter here is also compelling to me. But I'm worried about leading it in case they go with Iron Hands. So I'm actually thinking Landorus plus FEZANDIPITI early. Ogerpon in the back, because I think this thing can sweep my opponent. It's between Flutter and Chi-Yu. Alright, I'm going to go with Flutter. The main reason I'm going with Flutter here is because I think Icy Wind Speed Control is really valuable for just our entire team. But I think you can make an argument for all 6 Pokemon in this matchup. So my general goal here is to get speed controlled through Icy Wind. And yeah, they're going to lead with Flutter and Hands, okay? This is exactly why I did not want to lead with the Flutter Mane on my end. So I'm actually really happy with this lead. You can just fake out here and then, like, I don't know, they could consider Fairy Tailing this and, like, Moonblasting immediately. I don't hate double protecting here, personally, to scout out for what they want to do. Yeah, double protect into probably an Icy Wind next turn, which then allows me to pivot into Ogerpon. I guess the question is, does Flutter want to go all in here, right? Like, because if you don't Fairy Terra, Landorus can also just be able to, like, go for an Earthquake, or sorry, a Stomping or a U-turn. I could also consider just going for Terra Blast, but this might also be a modified version of the team that won Worlds. Fake Out went into Landorus, okay. And just Dazzling Gleam. Okay, I don't mind that too much. If you are gleaming, what does that mean? Who do I want to prioritize right now? Yeah, I don't mind clicking Icy Wind right now here. I think I like Icy Wind and Stomping Tantrum into Iron Hands. And the main reason for that is because I have my own Flutter Mane in the back. And it doesn't deal with Iron Hands super well. So they're going to go for a Terra here. It's going to be onto Hands, okay? Into Water. Yeah, that's fine. I'm actually really okay with Water Terra because now it means Ogerpon can just Horn Leech you for super effective damage, which is a big deal. So they just Gleam again, yep. Cool, we take less than half. Very nice. FEZANDIPITI gets Icy Wind off. So not much damage, but of course mainly here for speed control and the potential chances of poisoning as well. No Toxic Chain this time around, but that's fine. Stomping into Hands, and they're going to pivot with Volt Switch. Okay. I'm fine with that. It's interesting they committed to Terra. They just really value having more HP on Iron Hands, because you would have survived the double up there. But I suppose they were worried about like a Moonblast, or sorry, a Dazzling Gleam and a Stomping into that slot. So this will allow them to get some pivoting, but let's see what comes out. Either way, though, I think getting a Terra committed this early on is always nice. And it's going to be Urshifu. Okay. Now, Urshifu is interesting because I have the Ogerpon in the back. Got this Flutter Mane as well. Like, I think what I want to angle for is just getting a Swords Dance up with this. It's actually fine to lose Landorus at this point in the battle. I don't mind just going for Dazzling Gleam here and Stomping Tantrum into the Flutter slot. Ah, they actually just go for Aqua Jet. Okay, and we survived that. That's cool. I thought they would click Surging Strikes onto the Fezandipiti slot for sure, but this works out even better for us. Cool. So we'll get a Dazzling Gleam off here. I could have gone for another Icy Wind. I wonder if that was actually the better play this turn. Toxic Chain activates on Urshifu. Nice. I think Flutter Mane's the one we'd want to activate on more, though. But we'll still take it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is honestly just a free opportunity to bring the Ogerpon out now. Like, I think what I want to do is bring Ogerpon here. I could just Water Terra here and Swords Dance this turn. I don't think that's a bad play, because it's like if you Surging Strikes Fezandipiti, then I'm just set up with Flutter Mane plus Ogerpon in my endgame, which looks really strong here. Yeah. So I'm thinking I'll go for another Icy Wind here to drop Flutter Mane speed. I'm going to go for the Terra here at this point, and then just Swords Dance. And this is why I really valued the speed control from both Fezandipiti and Ogerpon throughout the course of this battle. I also thought about going for Follow Me plus like an Icy Wind this turn. Redirect that Surging Strikes away. Have another Poison Chance on Flutter, and then going for like the Swords Dance setup next turn. But I think, like, if they, like, protect Urshifu here and I get Swords Dance off, it just capitalizes off passive play so much, right? Okay. So, they'll get the knockout onto the Fezandipiti, but that's fine. Cool. Now I get Swords Dance up. Perfect. And it's also good to just confirm the speed stats there. Cool. We don't take... I mean, we take a decent amount there, but that's fine. What's crucial is I finally got in this setup where now I can bring out my Flutter Mane. And this Flutter Mane now offers us perfect speed control, right? The one downside is, let's say my opponent's last one is a Moongus. By going for the Terra there, I no longer have the immunity to... Or, like, Rage Powder becomes a little bit more annoying to deal with. So I can just Dazzling Gleam here. Yeah, I think we could just Dazzling Gleam and Horn Leech in this position. And just heal back up. If it's Landorus or Chiampao in this endgame, I think we basically have this locked up because of the amount of offense that Ogerpon threatens right now. And I think Ogerpon's just so well positioned right now. But I do wonder, I feel like I could have played this game better. I actually really liked our matchup, and like I'm down Pokemon right now. Okay, so Flutter switches. What are you bringing out? Okay, they go into Iron Hands. I mean, that's fine. The idea to go for that is to get rid of the speed drop and then lock into a new attack, but now I just get a double knockout. And then I can double protect to see what Flutter locks into and then just go for Icy Wind plus like Horn Leech, for example. Beautiful. I don't know, if you had a Moongus there, I think you would switch in a Moongus instead of Iron Hands, right? I'm just not sure you really want to bring a Moongus into a matchup that has Chi-Yu, Ogerpon, Landorus, and Dragonite even. Although, I mean, this Dragonite does have a flying type attack, so yeah. Okay, it is going to be Chiampao. Great. I guess the one thing to think about with Chiampao is Sucker Punch, right? Whether or not that just gets the KO. I think this turn I don't mind going for... Oh, sorry, we can't protect with Ogerpon. I'm too used to using protect on this. Oh, that's actually pretty interesting then. So I want to click Icy Wind here. I think Icy Wind and Hornleech here is fine. Yeah, I mean, like, you go for Sucker... And yeah, you KO me, and Flutter does a lot of damage to me with the Moonblast, but then I just Hornleech to heal a lot of that back up. Oh, they actually went for Shadow Ball too instead of Moonblast. Okay, cool. Yeah, like that does a ton, but Hornleech just allows us to KO and heal all the way back up. That's why I really valued getting that Swords Dance. And this recovery is just so key. So Flutter now faints. I could have protected there, but what I was worried about was them doubling up onto Ogerpon, like Moonblast and Sacred Sword as I protect. So the idea behind Icy Winding there is if you do go for that, then I just drop your speed, KO you, and then it's a 2v1 and we just win the game immediately. So I'm just going to Hornleech here. Sucker Punch and Sacred Sword both do a lot of damage. I actually wonder if they play towards an Icicle Crash Flinch, but that's not going to be the case. Yeah, that does less than half. So even... without the recovery here, we potentially had a chance to survive, but now we just heal back even more. Beautiful. And just Hornleech again. So, this Ogerpon set is really fascinating, right? I had opportunities to go for Follow Me, but I just really wanted to get that initial Swords Dance setup off. Because I was like, if I Follow Me, what is Fezandipiti really doing in that position? Maybe I get a knockout, but the thing about this Ogerpon is that we were in a position where it could just set up for free without too much risk. So, I wanted to take advantage of that, basically. But, yeah. I think this game was all about enabling it. We baited out the Terror from Iron Hands in the early game. The Landorus lead was really good. And also, like, yeah, if I had led Flutter, I think this game would have been a lot more awkward because Flutter would have just consumed its booster energy and would have been threatened by a Heavy Slam from Iron Hands immediately. And so the idea behind bringing it in the back is to cover for an Iron Hands lead. So I was really happy to see them lead the Iron Hands. And yeah, Fezandipiti, once again, quite nice for the Icy Wind speed control. That is what kind of prompted my opponent to switch out that Flutter main. And as a result, like, we were able to get a free Swords Dance up, heal, not a free one, I mean, we took some damage, but still a Swords Dance nonetheless, and then we healed back pretty significantly with Hornleech as well. And that's what makes this set really nice. It's like, even if you take half your health, you heal so much from Hornleech, right? And so you're able to sustain for a longer period of time. Okay, we've got Urshifu, Clefairy, Iron Hands, Como, Blood Moon, and the Sinistra. Poison's honestly really intriguing here, like spreading it. A lot of leads to worry about, but I'd say Iron Hands, Blood Moon, Iron Hands, Como, Clefairy, Blood Moon are the ones to mainly respect. Flutter is interesting here, honestly, but maybe we just also, like, trade and get a Swords Dance off. Like, I honestly really like Fezandipiti plus Ogerpon here. And in the back... is this the game for Dragonite? With Sinistra, I think not. And with Sinistra, I think Chi-Yu probably comes out. Alright, I'll go Chi-Yu Flutter here, I think. Yeah, I think because we have Swords Dance on Ogerpon, like, even though they have setup, we can also have setup, and our setup is really powerful. I mean, theirs is too, but they'll have to dedicate more resources to get it going. And Fezandipiti being able to poison at any point is valuable as well. It's Iron Hands and Water Urshifu immediately. Okay. I could Ghost Terra to get around Fake Out on turn 1. But then it means not being able to Terra this, which I think would be kind of bad. I think turn 1 I'm down to Swords Dance and Icy Wind here. You can only Fake Out one of my 2 Pokemon right now. Close Combat Wild Charge double up into Ogerpon would be a sick play by them. But it's Fake Out onto Fezandipiti, which is fine. Okay, it's U-turn with Choice Scarf. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I didn't have a real way around that. And with the Swords Dance, I can just heal back with Horn Leech, so it's honestly not that bad. And Como just comes out. Okay. Well, Como's really interesting because in my opinion, if you're bringing Como out right now, you're more or less forced to Terra it this turn. I think like one play is protect Como, pivot out into Clefairy. Another is to just go for Clangorous Soul immediately right now. Another question I have is how fast is your Como? But I would like to Icy Wind, I think. I want to be careful. If I Terra this, and then, like, Iron Hands just Wild Charges me, that's super bad. So I think I don't mind Horn Leeching into the Iron Hand slot and Icy Winding here. Yep, hand switches, okay. Into Clefairy would make the most sense to me. Yep. And then Steel Terra, Clangorous Soul, maybe? I don't think the Ivy Cudgel at +2 with Friend Guard support would have gotten the knockout. So, yeah, I don't mind the play that I made because it was to cover for this. And now I have Chi-Yu also in the back. Now that you've committed your Steel Terra to Como. They are faster, though. Okay. That might cause some issues, but I think I can just go for... Unless they're Clear Amulet, I could Protect Icy Wind this next turn. Oh, no, I don't have Protect, sorry. Also, I feel like, I don't know, because of the damage that you do take from Clangorous Soul, I might have just gotten the knockout if I Terra'd there. But I wasn't sure. Good recovery. Toxic Chain activates on Clef. Okay, that's cool. I really don't think you, like, knocked this out, but I guess Clefairy could go for a Helping Hand. Basically, my question is, do I need to Terra this right now? I think I should. Okay, I'm going to Terra, Horn Leech into Clefairy. And Icy Wind. Okay. I guess Clefairy could protect here. Like, I wonder if Ivy Cudgel into Como is the better move target here. But Clefairy is honestly pretty annoying, so I don't mind getting it out of the way. I'm wondering if I should have brought Landorus right now over Fluttermane as my fourth, though. And the other thing is, by doing this now, Wild Charge does hit me for super effective. Yeah, they are going for the Helping Hand play. That makes sense. Okay. And Clanging Scales? Yeah. Nice. Okay, perfect. So we heal back more. And... Fezandipiti's Icy Wind does connect here. Cool. So now we should outspeed Como, because you're at -1 speed. Probably bring out Iron Hands, but... We're getting to a point where I can utilize Chi-Yu. Oh wait, interesting. They bring Urshifu back out. Huh. Well, that makes sense. So what, did they just close combat into this slot? I think I just give this up, right? Yeah. Okay. Yep, so they just close combat. You get the knockout there, but then you drop your special defense and your defense. And I'm in an endgame now where I think, use Flutter and Chi-Yu to overwhelm my opponent. I think my main question is, with Fezandipiti, was it better to click like an Icy Wind or a Sludge Bomb there instead? We get Dazzling Gleam off. almost KOs poison. That'd be cool. Oh, I don't know if that actually knocks out with the poison though. I guess that's my main question right now. And they go for flash cannon. Yeah. Okay, that's fine though. It's gonna be a really close finish actually. But we've got Flutter and Chi-Yu in the back. I don't know if Urshifu faints from poison. I think it survives. That's annoying. Okay. Ah, that actually is really annoying. Because you can close combat Chi-Yu. Oh, but you're close combat locked. Never mind. So we're still fine. Yeah. It's mainly accuracy that I'm stressed out about right now in this endgame. But because I've got the booster on Flutter, it's good against Scarf Urshifu. Yeah, if we just did a little bit more damage, that would have been perfect. But it's still okay. Yeah, I'm just going to Heat Wave here and Dazzling Gleam. Okay, Como protects, yep. This is actually going to be super close because basically they get to bring out Iron Hands this next turn, and with Iron Hands, you get to click Fake Out into Chi-Yu. But that's fine, right? I mean, like, I just double protect, I think. And we know Como's full moveset. It's Clangorous Soul, Flash Cannon, Clanging Scales, Protect. So there's no Drain Punch, no way to heal itself. Yeah, like, you could boost up again, but you'd still be at neutral speed, so it actually doesn't really help. I would expect Fake Out now into Chi-Yu. I honestly think the play I want to go for is Double Protect here. Double Protect, and then Moonblast Overheat into Iron Hands. I'm not sure Moonblast Overheat doubling up even KO's Iron Hands is my problem right now. Yeah, so they Fake Out into Chi-Yu and presumably just Flash Cannon into Flutter. Yep. If I'm my opponent in this position, I'm protecting Como and then heavy slamming Flutter Mane. So I'm going to try to just get rid of the Iron Hands. Because AV Iron, I don't know if this even KOs is the problem. It's just so bulky, but let's see. Even if Como doesn't protect, it's fine. But it does, okay. I don't think it makes too much of a... Oh, actually... Yeah, this means even if we don't KO, it might still be okay. Oh, they're not Assault Vest, maybe? Okay. Yeah, that Moonblast did way more damage than I expected. Or it's just AV and what, it doesn't have, like, any special defense? Either way, we'll take it. I still have to hit my Overheat. I'm actually wondering... Nah, I'll just go for Overheat. Like, I was thinking... I click Moonblast Dark Pulse twice. But with me being... honestly, maybe it still does enough. I don't know. Like, they have the special defense boost. I wasn't 100% sure about that. But, yeah. I doubled up on Iron Hands there just because it's very rare for Iron Hands to have Protect. And Iron Hands with Assault Vest can just 1v2 me, potentially. Heavy Slam into Flutter Mane, Drain Punch into Chi-Yu. We knew Chi-Yu had Focus Sash, so I didn't have to worry about getting one hit by Clangorous Soul. Clanging Scales. And... it was Iron Hands was just a bigger threat because Chi-Yu could just, nuke the Como. But ultimately, I think in that game, the main thing that made things a little bit tricky was the Scarf on Urshifu, and then the U-turn immediately, I think, just to chip away with damage was really well done by them as well. So, yeah, I was curious if there was any chance like a really bulky AV Iron Hands could survive the Moonblast Overheat double up, but in the end, we were able to get the KO. So, nice. This is a really cool team. We've got Milotic, Roaring Moon, Alolan Ninetales, and Ogerpon with Landorus and Iron Hands. So another Milotic. I'd love to prioritize Fezandipiti here. Fezandipiti. We're really going to want to prioritize getting a poison onto the Milotic. It's so painful to want to bring Landorus here, given the Milotic, but I think it's too essential to not bring. If I were my opponent, I'd consider leading Iron Hands plus... Iron Hands plus the... Ninetales? Okay, I think I want to go with FEZANDIPITI Ogerpon, Landorus, Chi-Yu. I think Landorus is necessary to deal with all the physical attackers that they have. I think the FEZANDIPITI to deal with Milotic in general is already interesting, but you can Sludge Bomb into Alolan Ninetales. Just have to be very careful about clicking Icy Wind here. Yep, it is Iron Hand Ninetales. So I think Flutter Chi-Yu is also acceptable as a lead combo here. But then there's still a lot of mind games on turn 1. Snow Warning activates. Ogre... I was like, wait, where's my Ogerpon? I just don't see it on the field. Okay, there it is. Okay, I think I don't mind Icy Wind here and Swords Dance. Get speed control for Ogerpon. They just go for Aurora Veil immediately. No fake out with Iron Hands. Okay. So we get Swords Dance up. By the way, if Alolan Ninetales had Freeze Stride, they just clicked Freeze Stride there, it would have been so bad for me. So Icy Wind, double speed drop. No Toxic Chain, just Heavy Slam onto us, and we survive. Okay. Dealing with screens here is pretty scary. I'm not going to lie. Actually, I'm quite worried now about Freeze Stride. Not sure if they have it or not, but it's a possibility. Got Landorus and Chi-Yu in the back. I think knocking out Ninetales would be quite nice here. I'm mainly curious if a Dazzling Gleam, Terra here, Ivy Cudgel will do it. It's a decently strong Ivy Cudgel. Ugh, Ninetales switches though. Okay, into what? Yeah, good switch. This is actually already looking really hard. I think Iron Hands plus Milo with screen support is really hard to break through. I'm guessing it's Light Clay on Alolan Ninetales as well. So the only lead combination I could have had to kind of deny the Aurora Veil turn 1 would have been a Flutter Mane Chi-Yu lead, Icy Wind, Heat Wave, and Ghost Terra with Chi-Yu to prevent Fake Out. But they could just defensively Terra Alolan Ninetales to get around that. We actually really need a Poison right now, in my opinion, with the FEZANDIPITI. It's actually pretty good damage from Ivy Cudgel, though. Okay, not bad. There's Dazzling Gleam. Ah, no poison. Okay. And I get crit. Yikes. Poison from the FEZANDIPITI is actually so crucial here onto the Milotic. They protect. Sorry, they get leftovers. So you can just wild charge this right now is the problem because I committed my Terra. I committed my Terra out of respect for Freeze Dry as well, but I don't know if I needed to show it that much respect, quite frankly. I think I'm going to make a hard read here. I feel really behind in this game. And I think the obvious play for me would be to Horn Leech into Milotic. I guess Milotic could just defensively Terra around that, but basically what I want to do is pivot into Landorus this turn and Horn Leech into Iron Hands. The theory here is to recover enough where I survive a Wild Charge. Yes, I'm activating competitive in doing this, but I think if Milotic plays passive and protects, it gets me back into the game because I'll still have this boosted Ogerpon for the remainder of the game. But they could get around this by just Terraing Milotic, so it's a risky play. Wow, they didn't Terra or protect Milotic. If I just Horn Leech that, I would have been fine. That's actually really surprising to me. It's Icy Wind. Okay. In the grand scheme of things, maybe it's okay, but it's just frustrating because, yeah, I'm shocked they didn't Terra or protect that slot. And we do survive the Wild Charge, yeah. The problem is I've just taken too much damage. I didn't mind making that read because I think if they end up not protect, or sorry, if they protect here, I guess I am still super low, but then I pressure with Stomping into this slot and Horn Leech into this slot. Yeah, the mix I think of like getting crit into not getting the poison into calling that turn incorrectly has made this quite challenging. You're at neutral, and I'm at -1 with both, which is also really bad. Because you can just Icy Wind again right now. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think it's the combination of the... Oh, Iron Hand switches though. Wait, this actually opens up an opportunity for me, I think. Into Landorus. I mean, if I get this Horn Leech off into my Lodic and heal, it actually completely changes things. But I imagine my Lodic Terras here. I think they should have Terra'd last turn. I thought it was risky for them not to. But they just Icy Wind. Ogerpon should survive that. With 1 HP. Are you kidding me? Wow. I wonder what the Terra is on my Lodic, because I really thought if they just had a defensive Terra, this game would have been over this turn, probably. But yeah, Icy Wind at +2, not enough to get the KO. And the reason this is a big deal is because it opens the door for my Landers to come in and out. But I'm still pretty far behind in this battle, with the lack of like super good speed control. And everything is very heavily damaged right now, so I think it's still probably going to be pretty difficult for me. I think if we had like Spiky Shield on Ogerpon and I had Icy Wind Flutter in the back, I would feel a lot more confident, but we don't. And with the speed drop now, it's hard to really get like good pivoting. They bring Landorus, or sorry, they bring Ninetales out. I'm trying to figure out how we can salvage this. I'm wondering if I actually use this defensively now. And I go for a Follow Me into an Icy Wind. Wait, I actually think that is the way to come back in this battle. Icy Wind, Follow Me. Because then it enables a switch into Chi-Yu. But if they just have Freeze Dry here and it knocks out Ogerpon, that's bad. But yeah, basically, I think like the prediction I made earlier is like an assessment of where we are in this matchup, and the beginning just didn't go super well. I guess the downside is I even anticipated what my opponent's lead might be, but I still couldn't come up with a very good solution. Like I said, I think Flutter Chi-Yu might be our best bet. You know, I actually think Dragonite Flutter is also an interesting option. Okay, Landorus moves first. So I'm guessing it's Scarf. So now the question is, does a Blizzard KO me? Let's see. Okay, it doesn't. Nice. I get Icy Wind off. Basically with this, now I can bring in Chi-Yu and I think go for the Overheat onto Landorus. Let's see if we get a poison here on either. Toxic Chain does activate on Ninetales. Okay. Snow stops as well. Okay, so now I bring out Chi-Yu. It's still looking tough, but I think it's doable. I don't really have to care for Alolan Ninetales right now. Is there a world in which Ninetales now switches? Is my question. Also, it's taking a long time for this turn to get started. I'm really nervous about like a random disconnect. But let's think about this position. I think what I want to do... Okay, good. Is... Their last one is Iron Hands. Like, I think I could protect here. Actually, no. Do I want to protect? Because I think Fezandipiti Fainting actually also isn't too bad. I'm actually willing to just Sludge Bomb Ninetales here and just Overheat into Landorus. I don't know if this KOs Landorus, though, is the thing. They have Auroraville still out. Ah, they pivot. That's actually fine if it means Ninetales protected this turn, in my opinion. Didn't protect, okay. Oh, that also just does not do that much damage. If I actually went Heat Wave there and Blizzard double hits, okay. If I went Heat Wave, Sludge Bomb, or Dazzling, I think I actually lose the game now because I think Scarf Landers just beats me. That was really good awareness by my opponent. I thought they maybe go for something like they just stay in and attack, but I guess in retrospect, the odds of that are pretty slim. I thought the Ninetales would also protect, so in this game I was predicting a lot of protects that just ended up not coming out. And I don't think we can really win right now because at this point my Landorus can't really hit their Landorus, right? Like, the best thing I can do is really Terra Blast or U-turn into it. So, and then they just bring Landorus out and, yeah, beat me from there. If I went Overheat into Ninetales and Dazzling Gleam, that also may have given me an out because I wouldn't have had Sash broken. I would have knocked out Ninetales. I would have had I could have gone Sludge Bomb onto this slot as well. But I think the main question is, do I want to read into this switching out? And if they stay in with the Landorus and I actually get the knockout, I think I win the game off that. So that's why I was willing to gamble it there. Anyway, they have Fake Out pressure now. I guess I'll double protect, but I guess I could also play towards the outlet. It's not actually Scarf Landorus, but I don't see a world in which it's not Scarf Landorus. Like, why would a Alolan Ninetales be slower than a Landorus, right? They could also always throw the game here and accidentally switch Landorus in as I overheat and I get a crit. But yeah, I think like I didn't get enough value out of Ogerpon in the early game. We actually got it to a position though where I think it was winnable. I actually wonder if we had gotten the poison onto Landorus with Icy Wind, would that have made a difference? I don't think I had enough turns to win, so probably not, but in order to win this, I need to get, like, a read correct with Overheat. I'm going to Stomping in the Iron Hand slot. Do I want to make the read Iron Hands just switch us back out into Landers? What they should do is just give up both Mons right now, and I really wish we had Rock Slide. Okay, I'm going to Stomping Overheat, hoping they switch hands out into Landorus. But yeah, they don't. So I can't win off that, unless even with a crit. Yeah, that doesn't even KO. My goodness. Aurora Veil was just too strong here. So we'll get the knockout, but I shouldn't win this game. My opponent played this correctly. You basically just let both of your Pokemon faint because you can win with late game Landers, basically. So this was really, really close. And I think my opponent made some really nice plays throughout. The Milotic, I think, was troublesome. I think the Aurora Veil made such a big difference because it just allows their Pokemon to survive for a longer period of time. And I think the main turn I can point to in this game was when I went for Overheat onto Landorus. Like, my opponent showed Shiyu a lot of respect, which was really well done. And yeah, the Ninetales like not protecting there just means I had the opportunity to knock it out, and Fezandipiti could have gotten a free attack off into Iron Hands, and then we would have been in a position where I could have switched like Fezandipiti out into Landorus, get an Intimidate off onto both of their attackers. I would not have committed a Overheat. Hold on, is there any chance like? Yeah, I mean the problem is you just Stomping plus Drain Punch now, right? I'm just wondering if there's a world in which I win if I crit. Like, Landers should be Scarfed, so I should just lose here, but I'm going to click Heat Wave in case they're not Scarfed. Yeah, they are. Just because, like, we wasn't 100% confirmed, right? But basically, if they're not Scarfed there, Heat Wave, the win condition is we outspeed Landorus. We would need probably a crit onto Iron Hands and a burn onto Landorus. A burn crit onto Landorus, but yeah. That being said, like I said, I was almost 100% sure it was Scarfed, but since we didn't actually see the item confirmed, I would want to at least play it out. But I think fundamentally, like, Fezandipiti in this game just didn't get the poisons that we needed it to, and so that's one of the inherent downsides. I was less incentivized to click Icy Wind. I probably should have been clicking Sludge Bomb a little bit more, I think, as well. And even though I had gotten that Swords Dance off, I just took so much damage. The two main turns to point to, I think, are when I did not Horn Leech into Milotic. I really expected that to Terra, but it was clear my opponent looked like they wanted to play towards this Terra Landorus game. And the turn where Landorus switched into Iron Hands, I think if that were a Heat Wave or Overheat into the Ninetales slot, Sludge Bomb into the Landorus slot, Iron Hands comes out, gets poisoned, then what I can do is protect Fezandipiti, switch the Landorus in for the Chi-Yu slot, Landorus probably faints, I get Chi-Yu back in, and at that point, it's Chi-Yu Fezandipiti against Iron Hands Landorus, and if we had gotten the poison onto the Iron Hand slot, maybe Chi-Yu could have pulled it off. It's still tricky, I guess, because Landorus just stomping tantrums 3 times to win at that point, and I need to knock out the Iron Hands, which means I probably would have to commit Overheat. I think Aurora Veil just had so much value in that game because it allowed like Iron Hands to stay around for a lot longer as well, right? But yeah, I think that was a really fun game, honestly. I don't mind losing it. I think the combination of Aurora Veil plus the Ninetales was really scary. I felt compelled to Terra Ogerpon just out of respect for Freeze Dry. They had Blizzard, Moonblast, Aurora Veil on Ninetales, right? So I also don't know what the 4th move was. I don't think Freeze Dry is that common. I actually want to check Pikalytics right now. So I don't know if I needed to show it that much respect because it meant that I could have potentially conserved my Terra for something else. And by going for the Terra into water, it also meant that I was weak to Wild Charge, right? Which I think also maybe wasn't the best. So let's see. Ninetales, Alolan. Yeah, Freeze Dry's on like 6% of sets. It's like Aurora. This is interesting. Aurora Veil only on 48% of sets according to Pikalytics right now. Blizzard, Protect, Moonblast, Icy Wind, Gleam. Freeze Dry is like the 7th most common attack. So, yeah, I think there's so many different decisions that I can point to that maybe could have gone differently. And if I were to replay this game, I would point to potentially not tearing the Ogerpon. It's in a best of 1 environment. It's just like I really don't want to get cheesed by Freeze Dry. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going for the Horn Leech immediately onto my Lodic. And number 3 is the Chi-Yu turn, right? So a lot of different decisions maybe could have resulted in a better outcome. And I think another thing to think about is just how do I deny the fake out Aurora Veil turn 1? So like I said, I think leading Flutter Chi-Yu is interesting because I can just spam Icy Wind Heat Wave. The problem with that is Ninetales could just protect and then you just heavy slam into the Flutter. So then there's the mind game of do I just like protect both Pokemon on turn 1? If I do and they just go for fake out plus Aurora Veil, it's a disaster. Do I commit Ghost Terra on Chi-Yu to get around fake out from Iron Hands? That's another thing to think about. Dragonite with normal Terra is interesting because it is inner focus Dragonite. So I think like Dragonite plus Flutter is interesting because I can normal Terra and just like Moonblast Extreme Speed. But like if I don't even know if that knocks out Ninetales or the Iron Hands, and it would suck to not get a KO because then Iron Hands can like Drain Punch into the Dragonite or just go for a heavy slam onto Flutter. So yeah, I think Aurora Veil was just excellent there, but super fun game. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, so thank you so much as always for joining me. I think this team has a lot of interesting components, and I'm just glad to feature a high-ranked Fezandipiti team because I didn't really know exactly how good this Pokemon could be. My take after using it is that it's not the easiest to use, and it can't really fit onto like every team, but the poison chance honestly is really quite nice from it, and overall it's just a Pokemon that can be really bulky and stay in the field for a long time, as we saw from a lot of the matches today. So yeah, definitely a Pokemon that I think has potential, but not the easiest to execute because its damage is fairly lacking, so you have to really consider how you can take advantage of those speed drops from Icy Wind or from the potential poisons. And Swords Dance Ogerpon felt really strong. I do wonder, I think like having used this team personally, I'd probably make the adjustment of switching Spiky Shield over for Follow Me. But I think, yeah, the max HP, max defense set is very, very intriguing to me. So thanks as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.